Welcome to Return the Disc. This week, the episode is going to be a little different. I have my first guest. He is a guy I've known for a long time. We've made 2 feature films together, and I'm happy to consider him one of my best friends. And his name is Tom. So, Tom, welcome to Return to the Disc. Not only are you my first guest, you're also going to be a contributor on the website for reviews. So that's great. So, what did you select for this week?
I selected the Funhouse, The Fog, and Tenebrae. Obviously, The Fog is the Carpenter film, not the remake.
Which they're all like on 4K recently.
Yeah, they just all came out like pretty recently. So those are ones that I picked up, and I was like, why don't we do those? Because I love all those films.
And it's perfect for October as well.
It is. They're all really fun and scary, and they're all like early 80s. Like they're all within like a year or two of each other.
Yeah, they are. And one of them has a couple surprises we'll get into.
Yeah.
But you wanted to start with Funhouse?
Yes. I also got the Shout Factory 4K.
Director House, I hadn't seen it before until recently, and then I saw that the 4K was coming out, so I watched it on Shudder, and I really enjoyed it. But this second time for this show, I enjoyed it even more. I just felt like there's so much that Tobe Hooper does as far as like building the suspense. I feel like he really takes his time. But yeah, what was your kind of introduction to the film?
I was probably like 10. I was really young. I was probably too young to be watching the movie, but I was up late with Mom, and we were watching Son of Svengoolie, which is like a Chicago local. I talk about this in the essay, but it's a Chicago local, like Elvira type sort of format where he kind of like introduces the show. He goes a step further though, and like he added like fart noises into the Funhouse, and like other like zany sound effects. So I mean, like, that was the only reason I was really able to watch it. Is it was Son of Svengoolie, so like Mom was like, okay, whatever, this can't be like too scary. But I like loved it as a kid. I remember like playing that I was the killer at the end, and I would fall back into the orange lights that Mom had up in front of the windows. I'm being electrocuted at the end. Yeah, it was. I like really enjoyed it, and then I kind of forgot about it because like I like got old enough where like I was able to actually watch like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw. Funnily enough, I actually watched all the remakes first, and then I went back and watched the originals, and like now I prefer the originals. But yeah, so then the Funhouse got kind of lost for a while. I didn't watch it again for many years, and then I saw that that Shout Factory had the Blu-ray out, and I was like, is this good? I really don't know, because the fart noises does impact your perception of it. So I ended up streaming it online, and I watched like the first half, and I was like, this is a really restrained movie. Like he really takes a lot of time building the tension. I really enjoyed it, so I bought it. And then I watched it with Ricardo, and for a long time, Ricardo and I were the only 2 people I knew who had seen it. Well, I guess Mom too, but like I'm not going to talk with Mom about the movie because she doesn't want to remember it, I'm sure. But yeah, like
just the way that it starts with like the Hitchcock shower scene type thing, where I was like, okay, what are they trying to do here? And then it's the brother. It's like a prank.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. It was like tension, and then there was kind of predicting like, okay, this would be just like Psycho or a homage to Psycho, and then it turns out just like the brother messing with his sister.
Well, and they do the reference to Halloween because like he picks up the clown mask and puts it on, and it's in his point of view. It's similar to the opening of Halloween.
That's true.
In which a brother murders his sister. So like even if you pick up on the hints that like it's a younger brother, you might think that this is going to be like the opening of Halloween where he murders his sister. And then no, it's just a prank. It's a rubber knife. he is looking at her naked, so it's a little.
I know that after the fact, it's like, okay.
But yeah, like was the prank really just to scare her, or was there an ulterior motive? I don't know. There's not really an answer to that one. I feel like, but
yeah,
but it's
I don't think they had the best relationship.
Oh no, they have a terrible relationship, and then that comes like full circle at the end when he's like. I mean, like, yeah, he's catatonic, but he actively makes the decision to like leave her there. I love the references to the Universal monster movies. Like, they must have been some way affiliated with Universal because they have a lot of paraphernalia in there. And then they show a clip from Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, in the living room, I believe.
And then the killer is wearing a Frankenstein mask for for like the first half of the movie.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to go into too deep of spoilers, but the killer is sort of relatable to Frankenstein in some way.
Yeah. I mean, should we say spoilers and talk about it? Because like I feel like the second half of the film is just like it just changes on a dime in that one scene.
It really does. You know, you start with this like well, I don't want to say slow burn, but it sort of is in a good way.
Yeah.
And the teenagers go off and do their thing, and then that's a really nice setup for the Funhouse. We have like the whole different areas of the Funhouse, and you know, see these live human creatures and all this.
Oh yeah. Like they have a freaking freak show with it.
Yeah,
where you're like, yeah, you're just like, really? Like there's still a freak show in like 1980? Like, damn.
Yeah, the town that I grew up in is near Wichita, and they had a place called Joyland, and the Funhouse reminded me of this place at Joyland called the Wacky Shack, where you would ride the rides and you'd see all those like people would stand there and scare you, or they would have the animatronics, sort of like Funhouse, but you know, of course, there wasn't this crazy thing going on behind it. There was no secrets, but there kind of was. There was this weird time where one of the janitors or lawn keepers got his head cut off by the roller coaster. Like there was some weird stuff that happened at Joyland in Wichita. But so that's what I kind of thought of when I was watching this.
You know, I think there is something there, like the like dark side of the like the happy stuff, like at the carnival especially. It's just so fun. It's like it's like a physical representation of a loss of innocence in a way, because like you're seeing behind the curtain of like the thing that brings children joy. Yeah, and like how it really operates.
And we have the kid brother is like walking through the carnival, and we get his perspective on things too.
Well, and he almost gets picked up by like a truck driver, and like we don't know what his intentions to that kid are. I mean, like he just kind of scares the crap out of him, but I don't know. Did he actually want him to get in the car? There's a lot of unanswered questions with some of that stuff.
Yeah, and there's this beautiful crane shot too.
Yeah. I think they do. There's definitely one at the very last shot of the film is a crane shot, but I think there's one in the middle too where they're just kind of showing off the carnival.
I think that's the one. The brother is walking around. I think or something. It was something like that. You kind of get. It starts low and then it kind of glides through. It's a one shot crane thing. It goes through the whole carnival scene. The set pieces are amazing in this film too.
Oh yeah,
and it kind of flutters through and then hovers above, and then it's this beautiful wide shot of the whole scene, the whole carnival going on. I love that. The cinematography was great.
It was.
I also have the Frankenstein mask person. Him and the lady.
Wait,
what is she? The witch, right?
Oh, the fortune teller.
The fortune teller, yeah.
Oh, like you have them. How do you have them?
No, I don't have them. I have it written down where like he.
Oh, okay. I was like, are there toys of them? I want a toy of the crazy monster.
There's this like dark. It's like a dark. I thought it was funny, but it's kind of a dark scene where he's like trying to get laid.
Yeah, like they're haggling over the hand job.
Yeah, and he finishes prematurely.
Yeah, and then she's still gonna take the money,
and he wants his money back.
Yeah, and that's why he kills her.
And I felt bad for the monster at the time.
I felt bad for everybody involved. Like I felt bad for her too. I mean, like she's done this before. Maybe not with him, but like she's done this before. And she doesn't deserve what happens to her. I mean, like, yeah, she's like a little rude, but like, you know.
Yeah.
I also, the line when the dad comes in is like, you were going to pay her $100 for a hand job. I could have gotten you one from one of the tent girls for $5. And you're just like, oh, this is a thing. Oh.
Yeah. And that's Kevin Conway. And he plays like 3 roles in this.
Yeah, he's like 3 different Barkers, right?
Yeah, Barkers. 3 different Barkers.
He's good.
He's great. And there's an awesome interview on this 4K with him talking about his experience on there. Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago, but they were able to give him an interview.
Yeah, I mean, Tobe Hooper died in like 2015, I think.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite? I kind of gave you guys my favorite scenes and stuff. What are some of yours? I mean, you can go in the spoilers if you want. I usually don't.
Okay.
You can if you want.
I love the reveal of the killer's face. When the mask falls off and you realize what he actually looks like, it's a fantastic Rick Baker effect. I love how it parallels the freak show animal we saw earlier. And it's just like, it's that moment where you realize you're watching a different movie than you thought you were. I love the like chases through the Funhouse. I think the like layouts are really interesting. It's like way bigger than I feel like it should be, but it's still so fun.
Another scene just came in my head. It's the one they're kind of in that air shaft, and she's
yes,
with the fan going, and the monster's right there.
Mm-hmm.
That whole sequence, I mean, the way that it's framed and plays out is it's fantastic.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, like, I just feel like every scene in the movie works really well. It like it's either building tension or it is like paying that off. It's really dark too, you know, like it and it's dark not in the like, oh man, like teenagers are getting murdered, like, you know, your typical slasher sense. I mean, like there's that too, but like there's a wickedness in that is missing in some of the other ones. And there's just a wickedness in the way that life is normally within the context of the movie. I don't know. It's very interesting because like you start off in like very realistic sort of suburbs. And I love that like the parents are watching a Universal Monster movie and they're not letting the kid watch like when it's his favorite thing ever. And you're just like, that's kind of casually cruel. You know, like at least
especially when they're about to face something crazier at the carnival.
Yeah. And then like they each like go on a journey like to the carnival. His is obvious. The little boys is obviously longer than the teens. But that like kind of works as a like descent into a different reality. And then you're in the reality of the carnival, which is like the carnival is fun because it like acts as almost a quasi magical space, like just because like it is so ephemeral. I mean, like obviously it's not in reality, but like the effect that it has is like, it doesn't seem like a place that should exist. and definitely not for very long. And then they like descend into the Funhouse, and it's almost like an extra layer of descent into hell.
Yeah,
and they,
it's like an escape room too.
yeah, yeah, they are like locked in. They don't even like, okay, so like she gets out at the end, but like they don't even show what she does. She clearly like turns on the mechanism so that it crashes the car out, but we don't see that. She just kind of like walks through the smashed door. And then she just walks out into the sun, because it is really a survive the night type of movie.
I think it takes place in one night.
It does.
One night, and so
it's already dark when it starts, when he like is going to stab her, so it's really like over the course like 12 hours.
Because it's after hours, and I believe the kids are still in the Funhouse.
Yeah,
right, or they're just doing like teenager things.
Yeah, they've snuck into the Funhouse to have sex.
Exactly. Yeah, which is, that's what kids do.
Yeah, I love the scene where they're in the two separate phone booths, and they're each calling their parents and saying they're staying with the other one, but it's all one shot. Like, we just move from one phone booth to the other.
I think there's something about a phone booth that's cinematic.
It is, yeah.
Too,
It's funny too, because like they do mention Elizabeth Burridge, which she's one of the main characters in Amadeus, and they mentioned that on the back cover. But she's really good in that movie too. But like such a different movie.
I haven't seen Amadeus.
Okay, it was like
on my list.
I think it won the Academy Award in '84 for Best Picture. It's from the director Milos Forman of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yep.
I actually prefer Amadeus. I don't think you will, but I think you'll like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest more. But it's a fantastic film.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it soon with my dad. I'm going to go down and visit. And,
nice.
He's going to show me Amadeus. But I have a question though. Isn't there different cuts of Amadeus?
There are. There's a director's cut and there's the regular cut. I actually have the director's cut. I think I've seen the theatrical cut, or I at least read what was different between them.
So which one would you recommend?
Honestly, they're about the same. So the main difference between the two, there's a like I don't know how to tell you.
No, that's okay.
Without spoilers. They're very similar, and one of them, Salieri, does something that people really think was like a step too far for him. Even though he's attempting to murder Mozart, I'm just kind of like, if you're going to be a murderer, I think I wouldn't put it past him what he does in that scene. And that scene is not in the theatrical cut of the movie. So, I mean, on some level, I get why people wouldn't want it in there. And on the other sense, I'm like, I could see it happening. I could see his character doing that, and I think it would make perfect sense. I think it's well acted, and it plays out like... but if you see the theatrical cut and then watch that one, you might think even worse of Salieri. But he is an anti-hero to begin with. I mean, like, his motivation is to murder Mozart for most of the film. So, like...
Well, let's take him to the Funhouse.
Yeah.
See how long he'd survive.
Oh, no, he would like... Well, you know what? He wouldn't actually be in there after dark. Like, that's not somewhere he would go. Actually, he probably wouldn't go to the carnival to begin with, but no. Assuming he did, he's not staying. So, like, he'd probably survive because he wouldn't stay back. But if he was magically teleported into the Funhouse after it was locked, he would probably get killed immediately because he would be like, what the hell is going on?
That's great. That's hilarious.
Just imagining F. Murray Abraham in period costume in the Funhouse.
They probably think he's one of the freaks in the tent or something. Or one of the workers.
Yeah.
this is so this disc from Shot Factory. It's a new 4K scan from the original camera negative. I think it looks amazing.
Oh,
I
it's
thought I was
beautiful.
watching like a film reel at home.
Oh yeah. When it started, I was like, I can't even believe how good this looks. They did a really fantastic job. Like, this film has never looked better.
Does it look better than the Blu-ray?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, the Blu-ray looked pretty good, but like this is like a different level. I'm so glad I got it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it is one of my favorite films. Like, well, I don't know, like, it definitely is. Like, I think I put it in our top 50 for our at some point 250 list, but yeah, I don't know. I was very happy with it. I loved it.
And I think this movie, The Funhouse, is one that you could rewatch, several
Mm-hmm.
times.
It grows on you. It
It's
really,
only like 96 minutes, so it's not too long either.
yeah. And I appreciate it more and more each time I watch it, I think.
I do now that I've seen it twice, and the second time was better than the first time. So show us some swag.
So you already saw a picture of this, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Snap!
It's the poster.
Cool.
It's the poster for Danny Boy, which Dan made.
Well, you did too. You helped it.
Well, yeah. I helped.
You're an actor in it.
I'm an actor in it. I'm executive producer, and I did sound. I think I did the worst with sound of those 3 jobs, but that's okay. We got it made.
We made a freaking movie, dude.
Yeah, so I had printed from mpix.com, I think it was. I made 3 12 by 18 posters for this. It's a little expensive because they're like, they're mostly for photos. So like, this is like printed like
a lot of black
photos. Yeah, and it's a lot of black. So I mean, it was like, I don't know, I think like $12 or $13 each. So like, they're not at the point where they're like sellable yet, but
looks nice, dude. Actually, it looks pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm very happy with them. So like, I'm gonna frame this one for me, and then you're gonna get one, and then I was thinking of giving the other one to Courtney.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So so that was one of my posters. Then
you guys can see Danny Boy on Vimeo on demand.
Yeah, Dan didn't even
search Danny Boy. It's available digitally. I know I'm breaking the rules of discs, but Blu-ray to be announced, hopefully someday.
At some point, yeah. Dan didn't even ask me to plug that one. I was just like,
no, I mean, it works in perfectly because I mentioned we made 2 features together, and
yeah. So then the last like 2 weeks has been Beyond Fest here in LA. They've been showing, like current and past movies. So we've seen several. We saw RRR from the like Bollywood film on Netflix. We saw the Beyond Composer's Cut, the new Hellraiser.
How was the Beyond Composer Cut?
I like the theatrical cut better.
Okay.
I've only seen it once, but they didn't include the they had the prologue scene, but I swear there's another flashback scene that were done in sepia tone in the theatrical version. And the second scene wasn't there, and the first scene was done regular color, and I really missed the sepia tone.
Okay.
The music was okay, but it was about the same for me as the theatrical cut, so I was like, I would rather have those scenes in there and have the original music than this version. But it was really fun seeing it in the theater, and I brought my boyfriend and our roommate to see it, and they had never seen it, so they really enjoyed the tarantula scene.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think that's a new 4K restoration, too.
Is that coming soon? I was, like, holding off buying it because I don't want to, like, get the $20 Blu-ray and then the 4K comes out.
I've heard it's coming. I'm not sure if it's, like, the overseas edition first or what, or if it's going to be stateside.
I will continue to wait for it then.
And I don't know if it's both editions, like both cuts.
Oh, okay.
Either. I think it might just be the new one.
Really?
So, if that helps any.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, I might just get the Blu-ray then at some point. I might wait for the 4K to come out, and then like the Blu-ray might be cheaper. I don't know.
It's true.
But anyway, one movie that I absolutely love is getting a theatrical release for the first time. It was straight to DVD in the mid 2000s when it came out. It was a little hard to get a hold of, and nobody knew about it for a really long time. But now it's kind of a cult favorite. There's merchandise of Spirit Halloween. I've actually had this poster for a while, but I took my ticket to see it with the director, and I put it in with the poster.
Oh, that's so cool, dude. So he
Yeah,
did a Q&A?
he did a Q&A. It was really fun. They had like a life-size Sam. That's Sam. And you got to take pictures with it. So me and Vinny took a picture. And if you tweeted it, you get a chance to win one. So I don't know where we would put it if we won it, but I don't care. I just wanted a Sam. And like, if you haven't seen Trick or Treat at all, go see it in theaters. If you love it, go see it in theaters, because Michael Dougherty did not come out and say so exactly, but it seems clear to me that the execs are looking to see how well a theatrical run of Trick or Treat does to greenlight a Trick or Treat 2.
Wow.
So this is important. If you haven't seen the movie and
Wow.
you like if you don't have tickets to the movie yet in theaters, but you love it, go see it, because like that means we might get a second one. They are in development of it. It's not greenlit yet. They're at the concept art phase, but
That's
it could
exciting.
happen.
That's
Yeah,
exciting, dude. I didn't know that.
yeah. So I'm very excited about that. I want to hang this one up again.
Now, is it coming out in theaters?
Yes, they're releasing this like it's only in like 1,000 theaters, I think. So like it's not like everywhere,
Okay.
but it is getting a limited theatrical run, which has never had before. It's never been in theaters before. So
I will check and see if it's playing around here, because I've been looking for something to go see this month. There's just not much. I don't want to see Halloween Ends or whatever.
oh no, that one looks terrible. But I didn't like the first one of the reboots. So and that's the one that this film series is still banking on. Like, because Halloween Kills was terrible. Like, I mean, Halloween was okay, but Halloween Kills, ooh, that one was really bad, really, really bad.
Really terrible. I would rather watch the Rob Zombie ones.
I actually like the Rob Zombie ones. I mean, like, they're not perfect, but like they're definitely better than the current reboots, and I enjoyed them when they came out. I was at an age where I actually preferred them to the originals for a while. Now I prefer the original Halloween, but mostly because Rob Zombie's just so fucking nasty. But like, it's so mean. Everybody's so mean to each other in those
Love
movies,
hurts, man.
and then it's so fucking bloody.
All right, the next one is The Fog. So I have the Blu-ray, and I also have the 4K as a part of the John Carpenter 4K pack that I bought. So I did not pick up the one that you have, because I didn't feel like I needed to.
No, I mean, like, honestly, like, if you have that version, I think you're good. I was very happy to get this one, and I actually do ramble about this a little bit in my review, but I have the steelbooks for Assault on Precinct 13, Prince of Darkness, The Thing, They Live. I think that's it. But I have all those as a Blu-ray steelbook, and I just had The Fog as a regular Shout Factory. But I was like, I was so happy. Yeah, it's so cool. I really wanted to get the steelbook version, especially, and then like it does look really good on 4K. Here, I'll hold it up.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about, and I love this movie. I say in there, like, the Funhouse is my favorite Tobe Hooper movie over Texas Chainsaw. Even though I love Texas Chainsaw, The Fog is my favorite Carpenter over Halloween and The Thing, even though I love both of those movies. But The Fog is also set on my birthday, and it got pirate ghosts. So,
11:55. Just time for one more story. One more story to keep warm. I don't know, that to me, that opening narration is just, it's one of my favorite things. It's something
Mine
that I
too.
will recite to myself in the shower.
Hell yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's the way the guy's voice is, or just the whole
I you know
campfire thing.
I made an argument for this because some of my horror friends out here are like they thought that The Fog was kind of slow. They're not. It's not like one of their favorite Carpenter movies, and I'm like, I disagree. The movie sets it up as it is a campfire story. That is how the movie presents itself from the start. And so if you really think about that and you think about how campfire stories are presented, they are very slow so that you can feel the chills in the night and you can like appreciate all of the tension. And I think The Fog does it wonderfully. It's so creepy. The set pieces are so cool. You have an ensemble cast who each has like their own like mini arc, and the ghosts are so freaking scary. Like, oh my god, and you never get a good look at them.
No. Do you either see the hands or the arms or the eyes or the, you never really see the full thing, and you see their cloaks, But let me read the back real quick.
Do it.
When the fog rolls in, the terror begins. This moody horror classic from master of terror John Carpenter and producer Deborah Hill stars Adrian Barbaro, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Atkins, Hal Holbrook, and Janet Leigh. Don't get lost in the fog. The sleepy seaside village of Antonio Bay is about to learn the true meaning of the word vengeance. This seemingly perfect town masks a guilty secret, a past steeped in greed and murder. Exactly 100 years ago, a ship was horribly wrecked under mysterious circumstances in a thick, eerie fog. Now, shrouded in darkness, the long-dead mariners have returned from their watery grave to exact a bloody revenge. 1980s, The Fog, 90 minutes. And first of all, it's one of those scores. The music of this movie is one of those movies that I'll listen to it while I write. Not only do I love because it has the narration in there too, the beginning campfire. That's how the album opens. But music's great. Like you said, the set pieces are great. The whole atmosphere. It's a really small, contained story too. The criticism, I guess, of it being slow. Again, like with the Funhouse, it's set up and it's sort of playing off of I don't know. It's kind of like, I think Carpenter does a great job of setting suspense. Like there's that scene and where they're looking for the priest and the priest pops out kind of like a ghost would, kind of just a fake jump scare type thing.
Well, he makes a jump scare too of like the brick falling to reveal the journal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then that there's some comedy too where like Jamie Lee Curtis gets in that truck. She's like, "Are you weird?" The driver or whatever. It's just some funny dialogue.
Yeah. I do love that she immediately has sex with Tom Atkins. We got to see this movie as part of a triple feature with Tom Atkins, like probably 2019. And that was funny because like everybody would cheer whenever he was doing something, and so like when they like cut to them like post sex, everybody just cheered. And I was like, all right, sure, why not?
That's hilarious. No, I think when this movie came out, it wasn't really well received from what I've read.
No, probably not.
And I believe this is the follow-up to Halloween for Carpenter.
I think so. I'd have to check that. But yeah, like I think he got a bigger budget after Halloween and he used it for this. And I just fucking love it. Like I think he did such a great job.
Well, this was low budget too. It was only $1 million. Actually, Assault from Precinct 13, Halloween, then The Fog. So yeah, it was after Halloween.
Yeah. How much did he spend on Halloween?
$300,000 to $325,000. So.
Okay, but still, like $1 million.
Yeah, that's double. Pretty much double.
Yeah, that's a huge like budget increase from one to the other.
Yeah. And I listened. There was a couple interviews on here, and I forgot which one, but there was one where it was. I guess they used like so many different fog machines, and they had to like really. It was kind of a logistics problem trying to gather all the
fog.
fog and kind of to keep it kind of eerie and creepy. And they shot it on the coast of California.
Yeah, it has that vibe.
Yeah. So how did you discover the fog?
This one I'm not as sure about. I think I was just going through a Carpenter phase where I was like trying to watch all of his movies. And this one I really fell in love with. I remember like when we were in like late high school and early college and we were watching some Carpenter films, I showed like Ricardo like Prince of Darkness and a couple other like, and that one I understand. We kind of made fun of it for a while. We called it the Devil's Piss. And we watched a couple other ones that like were some of his lesser movies. So yeah, like he didn't have a very high opinion of Carpenter for a while, but I remember like I loved this one as soon as I saw it. This is one of my favorites. I think
I blind bought it because of your recommendation.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, so I bought this 2018 or so.
Oh nice. I sometimes watch this like twice a year because I sometimes watch it around my birthday, and then I sometimes watch it around Halloween. So like sometimes it's twice. But I love it. It's just so much fun. So spooky. This time Vinny was kind of in and out watching it, but as we got up to like go to bed, he was like, I still liked it, even though I like fell asleep.
What are some of your favorite scenes?
Well, I mean, like the climax with the church and the lighthouse, I think those are just, it's such unbearable tension. And then like when they give them the cross and they back off, that's so frightening. I love the scene where the babysitter and Janet Leigh's son are in the house and the fog is just drifting all around.
That's when the arms are coming through the glass and stuff.
Yeah. Like she gets like dragged out into the fog, and then like the little boy is alone. I love every scene with Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins. They're just so funny. I also think it's kind of funny that Jamie Lee and Janet Leigh are in the same movie and they don't have a scene together. But like Janet Leigh doesn't really interact with like anybody because she's
just on the tower.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. There's a there's a podcast that Ian got me into called Welcome to Night Vale. And the entire podcast is the radio broadcast in a small town that is having like Lovecraftian sort of nightmare things going on. And I don't know this for sure, but I feel like it was probably inspired by The Fog. Just because like it's a radio broadcast of something supernatural going on in a small town.
Yeah, that was covered up.
Yeah.
Or a secret.
It's kind of a Welcome to Night Vale is very tongue in cheek about it. Like, you know, like they're
sounds like an Alice Cooper song.
Yeah, it does kind of have Alice Cooper sort of sensibilities. Like one of the recurring jokes is dogs are not allowed in the dog park. Do not go to the dog park after dark. If you see hooded figures at the dog park, do not investigate.
Walk away. That's great.
Yeah, so it's really fun. I only listened to I think I listened to the first 50 episodes, and that constituted like a mini arc. It's much longer. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I am good here. I don't need to keep going because this could keep going for forever. But it's really a fun show. And it is cool seeing how the Fog influenced other back is cool. Other works of media.
It's almost like, I don't know if this is even a genre. It's almost like a horror noir, the way the smoke plays into it, or the fog plays into it. And the way that the camera, Dean Cundy I believe, shot this, and who did Halloween as well. And he works with Carpenter, I think, pretty much synonymously together. He's always his DP, but he does the photography in this is amazing. So it sets the mood, and it really encapsulates the creepiness and the supernatural of these pirate ghosts things coming out, coming back, and then the connection to the priest and what he discovers and all that, and then that climax, like you said, with the cross. It's intense. And Tom Atkins is the poem off of it. It's like, man, this is crazy. But if you guys haven't seen The Fog, I highly recommend it this Halloween season. It's like the perfect time to watch it.
It really is. It's a very fun, creeping horror movie. I feel like the 80s is kind of like known for its like slasher movies, and so this one isn't that. So like I feel like it is kind of a different movie to watch from that period. In fact, the other two movies we're talking about are slasher movies, so
it's true. And I think this one too, again, has great practical effects. If it was made today, unfortunately, it would be computerized pirates, and
I'm not like completely against that, because like I think like the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, they look pretty good and they're like fully computerized, but they're not scary in the way that this is when you can barely see them, and like they just seem to be rotting.
And they kind of move slow.
Yeah.
With of course with the fog, it's kind of which adds a little layer to creepiness to me.
Yeah.
I've driven in like early morning fog or late night fog, and you kind of it is a little creepy.
I even put in the review so most of the movie is shot like typical 80s, but then the fog comes in and it feels like a different era has come in. Like we were watching Dracula the other way, the 1931 version with Bela Lugosi, and I just love the exteriors. They just drenched them in fog. I mean, like, it's probably a slight exaggeration of like what was going on at the time, but like in those Industrial Revolution days, obviously, like some areas of the city probably would have been like that because the factories are just churning out fog. Yeah, it almost looks like that for like a lot of the movie. Like it almost looks like a Universal monster movie has like invaded the present of the 1980s.
That's very true. The campfire thing and the slow burn with the girl getting into the stranger's car and what have you, and then it kind of takes another gear, like you said, when the fog arrives, it kind of changes things and makes it that much more creepier. And I could definitely see that influence from the Universal monsters. And I think that's what I kind of meant with like the noir feel too.
Yeah.
Go back to that 30s time.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I just love how smoke looks on camera.
I do too. It's very cinematic.
Yeah, it is. I think that's one of the reasons that the Universal monsters like work so well for me is like they just drench all of the exteriors in fog, and if they're inside, they might be smoking, so there might be like smoke in the.
Exactly. It's like smoking is terrible for you, but it's like it looks so good on film.
It does. That's why we gotta like just have every scene filled with weed smoke. It's the whole thing. No, I'm kidding. But
was there any new special features on the new 4K UHD from the?
Let me take a look. Okay, so 4K restoration by Studio Canal, new Dolby Atmos track, new restored original mono track. Nothing else appears to be new. They didn't put new next to anything else. I already threw out the they have like the cardboard over the top and then along the back. I already threw that out, so I can't like compare with the back of the Blu-ray because I haven't sold the Blu-ray yet. But
yeah, that's why I'm holding on to mine for the special features, because these don't have any special features similar to your Steelbook.
That's pretty cool.
Disc.
I already kind of started in on it, and this is like a couple different rounds, but like these are some of my Halloween books nice. That I got. So
let me get you by yourself. There you go.
Okay. So I haven't read any of these ones yet. I just finished the books I was reading. which was like kind of a mix of like some of my ones that I had on the shelf for a while. Mostly spooky, although I am also reading Anna Karenina very slowly. So these days I tend to read 5 books at a time. So, but I just finished the other 4, so now I'm going to choose from some of the ones from this stack. So I got Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. I don't know exactly
That
how you say
color
it.
is cool. I mean,
Yeah,
the cover is cool.
he's the author of Fight Club, so this one's a straight horror novel. I'm like pretty interested in that. The Mummy, A Tale of the 22nd Century. So around the same time when Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, within a few years, Jane Webb wrote this novel about a mummy who is brought back to life in the 22nd century. It is apparently like crazy full-on sci-fi, but it was just like so out there that like it didn't get popular the way that like Frankenstein did. So I'm very interested because this book is from like 1820 or, like the 1820s, somewhere in there. And I'm like, how have I never heard of this before? But anyway, it's a relatively new edition from the Haunted Library of Horror Classics.
Another great cover, too.
Yeah, I love it. So I hope like it's good. We'll see. And then I got Zach Baggins's Dark World. He's the host of Ghost Adventures.
Wow. It looks like Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm actually like I'm like mostly editing my novel that I've been working on for years, but I'm like planning and like writing a little bit on a novel with a main character who is inspired by Zach Baggins and then like a couple other people. But I saw his book and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get it and I can kind of like get inside his head a little bit more.
A little bit of research.
Yeah. So then this one, The Monk, is a 17th century novel, 1796. Apparently it's about like its author was a member of parliament.
Looks like Possession or something.
Yeah, I'm just going to read the
Possession or something.
It recounts the diabolical decline of Ambrosia, a Capuchin superior who succumbs to temptations offered by a young girl who has entered his monastery disguised as a boy and continues his descent with increasingly depraved acts of sorcery, murder, incest, and torture. Combining sensationalism with acute psychological insight, this masterpiece of Gothic fiction is a powerful exploration of how violent and erotic impulses can break through the barriers of social and moral restraint. This edition is based on the first edition of 1796, published before Lewis made revisions to avoid charges of blasphemy.
Wow.
So yeah, he was going to be executed for this book.
Wow.
I got Kill Creek. I don't know anything about this author, Scott Thomas. It just sounded kind of interesting. It's set in Kansas. At the end of a dark prairie road, nearly forgotten in the Kansas countryside, is the Finch House. So a best-selling horror novelist is invited to spend Halloween night in one of the world's most infamous haunted houses. He won't be alone. There are 3 other horror writers who are going to join him. Wow. But there's a demonic entity in the house. It sounds like.
That sounds like a really cool premise, actually.
Yeah, so I'm like interested in that one. Then I got Reluctant Immortals. This one, again, I don't really know much about the author, but they do mention Mexican Gothic on the back cover, which is a book I enjoyed. So they're taking Lucy from Dracula and Bertha Mason. Okay. It's Mr. Rochester's wife from Jane Eyre. She was like locked up in the attic, like she's considered insane. And they both are like vampires, and so they live in 1967 Los Angeles. But then Dracula moves into a house in San Francisco. So I guess they're like really close together now and like shit's gonna go down. I don't know. I just like read that description and was like, okay, sure, why not? That sounds great. This one, I've read a lot of Algernon Blackwood's other ghost stories, and they're great. Like, he is a really underrated ghostwriter. He has one called Keeping His Promise that like gave me like it just gave me the chills while reading it, and it's like
Wow.
it's rare that a book will do that to me these days. And then Haunted Island, which is widely like anthologized. I really love that story. So this one is like probably it's the only like there's one of two collections that I know of that like the collections were written in his like as they were ordered in his lifetime. Mm-hmm. This is one of two that I've heard of. So I like finally was like, I'm just gonna get it. It's a Penguin version. Ironically, I got a different version that only had 4 stories in it, and I was like, when I got home, I was like, where the hell are the other stories? Like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stories in this collection. Where are the other 5 stories?
Wow.
So I gotta return that version. The cover is cooler on that version, I think, but this one's pretty cool. Ancient Sorcery is the title story. Apparently, became the basis for the film Cat People.
Okay. Paul Schrader.
Yes, but it was that was a remake of a 40s version.
Oh, was it really? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm assuming the 40s version is closer. I've seen both of them. I like both movies. The 40s one is a little preferable to me just because I really like how they worked with shadows and they did the cinematography on that one. Mm-hmm. I was initially put off by both of them because essentially the entire movie is men telling the woman, "You're not a cat person," and then she turns into a cat. And the last one is My Best Friend's Exorcism, which like the cover of the book.
Yeah, it looks like a movie.
Yeah, it looks like a VHS. Amazon Prime is coming out with a movie version. We actually could have seen it at Beyond Fest, but we were already like seeing like Hellraiser and a couple other movies that we were going to be able to see streaming for free. So we were like, all right, like let's wait for reviews, or we'll just watch it when it comes to streaming. We don't need to like see it in theaters right now. But I'm really interested. It looks really fun. I mean, like the cover just looks so fun. It
really does. I would be drawn. I'd be drawn to that too. I'm drawn to it now. Like, oh, that looks really cool.
Yeah. Like, so like a lot of these were like ones that I've looked at Barnes and Noble for a while and been like, oh, I kind of want that. And then like finally, I was just like, I'm just gonna like, I know it's gonna be like $100-something, but I'm just gonna like get all of the books that I've been eyeing from them.
Spooky season.
Yeah, well, I was like going through my stuff and I was like, I don't really have a lot of new horror stories because like a new horror story comes in and I read it. Oh, you know what? I will recommend one that I did read. They have a movie coming out soonish. Dark Harvest by Norman Partridge. This book is so good. It's like really short. My version is 197 pages. So it's a very quick read.
It's gonna be a movie soon, you said?
It's gonna be a movie next year, I think. It's like in production right now. The plot is like sort of like The Lottery. There's like a small town with an ancient ritual, and the ritual involves scarecrow-like creature called the October Boy. And so he's like a scarecrow with a pumpkin head, and he has candy guts. And so then they starve all the boys in town on Halloween night, and they let them loose to attack and kill the October Boy. And meanwhile, the October Boy is given a bladed weapon, and is sent to kill them.
Wow.
It's really
suspenseful.
It's very suspenseful. It's really dark. Also, like it's so quick. There's a bunch of twists, but like it starts on the night of the of Halloween, like they're releasing the boys, That's just where it starts. They don't like give you any time to like be like, oh, I guess there's a magic scarecrow thing that they're gonna kill. But yeah, it's insane. So I hope the movie is good, but the book is really good. So I would highly recommend that one. These other ones I'm excited for. I have not read them yet, so I don't know.
Well, they all look like great choices. Look like a lot of fun covers.
Yeah.
So hopefully people are seeing this and they get some recommendations. So Tenebrae.
Yes.
This is the edition I have. Ooh.
I got the arrow.
This is the Synapse version, and they did a version of Suspiria that I have.
I've been thinking of getting that Suspiria version because it's such a beautiful film, and I kind of want the 4K.
So I guess I'll just start by saying you kind of introduced me to Dario Argento on your film shoot. I think Ricardo had bought Suspiria.
Yeah.
And we watched it. And that was the first time I ever watched an Argento film.
Yeah, I mean, Suspiria is still my favorite. I love that movie. It grew on me a lot. Like the first time I watched it, I was like,
I think that if I recall, you used the Suspiria theme for like some of your inspiration for Halloween Party's score.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, like I can read my version, but it's going to be different than yours.
Is it? Mine's in Italian, so.
Yours in Italian?
No, I'm just kidding.
All right, I'll read the back of the arrow cover.
Okay.
Terror beyond belief. In the early 1980s, Dario Argento, Deep Red, the bird with the crystal plumage, Italy's legendary master of horror, returned to the giallo thriller genre in which he originally made his name for his most blood-drenched and self-reflective offering to date, Tenebrae. A razor-wielding psychopath is stalking the thriller writer Peter Neal. Anthony Francia's Death Wish 2 in Rome to promote his latest work, Tenebrae. But the author isn't the obsessive killer's only target. The beautiful women who surround him are doomed, as one by one they fall victim to the murderer's slashing blade. Co-starring Daria Nicola di Phenomena and John Saxon in Nightmare on Elm Street, and featuring stark modernistic photography by Luciano Tovoli, Suspiria, this one-time video nasty updates the giallo blueprint for a new decade, now fully restored in 4K alongside a plethora of extras, old and new, and including for the first time ever the alternate US cut, Unsane. I watched the English version, but
the original version. The original version with English dubbing was what I watched.
Yes, that's what I watched too. Okay. So we actually watched the same version, even though we didn't plan that.
Yeah, because mine comes with the same 3 versions.
Okay, cool. I wanted the booklet, honestly. Like, that was my big thing, is I wanted the booklet that came with it. Oh, did yours come with a booklet too? Okay, well, I still got the Arrow one. It was $5 cheaper. I don't regret it.
Is it the same kind of thing? Probably.
Yeah, it's even got the yellow things on the edge.
Yep. Okay. Mine has lobby cards.
Mine also has lobby cards. Let me find those.
That I haven't opened.
Mine were not sealed, so I went through them once when I got it.
Looks like the same-ish.
Yeah. Pretty similar. Oh yeah, this one's an ad for Wild Things.
And then on the back, oh, different.
Yeah. That's a weird one for yours. Mine's just the Arrow cover.
Yeah, this is the alternate. It's called Shadow, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, it means darkness in Italian, so that makes sense.
Yeah, Japanese Shadow.
My version matches my other Argento ones, so...
Winner! Yeah, this movie, I've seen it twice now. The second time was for this show.
Mm-hmm.
Recent discovery this year for me. I watched part of it on Joe Bob Briggs on Shudder. He did it. He had it one of the nights. And then I was like, okay, seen enough. Love it. Love the opening with the fireplace. And again, fire is so cinematic. The whole thing, the whole mood, the whole like Argento's momentum, the way he does the cameras and all that. I was like, I was sold. So I was like, I'm going to wait for the 4K. Pop the 4K in. movie was great. The whole like mystery aspect, the whole slasher, giallo.
Mhm.
The music was fantastic. I mean, and I think the actresses look great. I mean, they're very. I don't want to say sleazy, but it's just kind of it has its own vibe. It's
Yeah,
very I don't know. I guess Italian. I guess giallo, but
I've when we were coming out of the Beyond, I was telling Vinny and Ian about like the giallo genre as a whole, and I'm like, it's kind of a spectrum of like Mario Bava is like pretty classy, Dario Argento is like not as classy, it's more dirty, and then Lucio Fulci is really dirty. I stand by that.
great. That's a great tier system you got there. But yeah, I was sold, and I really enjoyed it the first time. The second time, I have to say, I didn't enjoy it as much because I knew what was going to happen. Still had a great time.
I had forgotten about the ending, so I was like, "Oh shit! Like this is kind of a surprise again." I was surprised also, like putting it on. It doesn't look like the other giallo films. Like it doesn't have the stylized coloring. It just seems to be set in like a modern, well, the then modern Rome. And I mean, like, there's more murders for sure, but they don't spend as long on the murders as they do in previous giallos. So I thought that was interesting. It's an interesting movie.
It is. It really is. I mean, the fact that this doctor, or the author of Tenebrae in the movie, rides his bike to the airport, puts his bike in a taxi, and is like, and exchanges for his luggage and gets on the airplane. It's like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of strange to me that this guy would ride his bike to the airport and then, like, he got his workout in, then he's going to go on a plane. It's kind of smart.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of a quirky thing. There's a couple of times, a couple other sequences too, like the dog. The dog is like chasing this woman and jumping fences, and man, I love the sequence. But it's like it's in its own little genre or sort of tone. It's like wow, this is just wild. This is like, at one point I'm like, what am I watching? Is the dog behind all of this, or is it just it's I feel like it's a little sequence. It was pretty crazy.
Well, yeah, like the dog like chases her into the like murder room, and you're like, how did the murderer know this dog was gonna show up and like chase her here?
And I know how hard it is to get a dog to cooperate on set. I'm sure they had more than one, but some of the things that the dog is doing are just like, wow. Like, I think the dog tries to jump the fence and it actually misses the first time, and then does it the second time.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, this is crazy. Like the whole, like, just the dog acting, the stunt work in this,
and like it just like goes like right up and then it goes over. Like it just like it's not even like it like like it goes like.
Right on cue. How did you find this movie?
I don't totally remember. I definitely watched it on Shudder to begin with, but I was like. I again had a Dario Argento phase, much like a John Carpenter phase, and so I was like kind of going through all of his movies. There's still some I haven't seen just because Dario Argento's later work is, that's a slog to get through. So like some of those I'm just like, nah, I'm good. And I haven't watched a few from his like, good period, I guess you would say. But my boss
is 2 for 2 for me. This is the only second movie I've seen of his. So I have Deep Red. I haven't watched it yet.
I love Deep Red. For me, it's Suspiria, Deep Red, Tenebrae. I've also seen Inferno, Opera. I actually enjoy those ones. The Cat of Nine Tails I don't like. Bird with the Crystal Plumage is good. Stendhal Syndrome is terrible. Like I watched there's like several of his later ones that I watched. Anyone that has his daughter in it is just
Okay.
like god awful. At least from the ones that I've watched. And then she's like naked a lot, so that's like weirdly uncomfortable. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like it's funny because like I feel like he had the same like sort of like really productive period where he was making a lot of really good movies in a row, kind of like Carpenter. But then like Carpenter retired and Dario Argento was like, nah, I'm still going.
Carpenter, yeah, he kind of drops off around
Mid-90s.
Memoirs of Invisible Man or something like that, and then goes into.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like the movie Vampires, which I think came out
Okay.
afterwards, but Vampires is the last one that I actually enjoyed from him.
Yeah, it sounds like there was a drop off for Argento, and I believe he still had a movie come out recently.
Yeah, he has one coming to Shudder
Okay.
soon, which I'll probably watch, but like I don't have high expectations for it. Like Opera, I think, is the latest movie that I've seen from him that I enjoyed. But he has a lot of like really good hits. This one's interesting too because like he, it's essentially like him reacting to people like brought up sexism as like a thing in his movies because like it's primarily female victims. And he like basically responded to that like young woman in danger has been a trope since the beginning of storytelling. I didn't invent it. I'm just using it, essentially.
In like everything.
Yeah, like everything. And, to some extent that is true. I still enjoy his movies.
So you think it's sort of meta with this author in the movie it has this famous author has a book and it's inspiring a killer.
Yeah. But then the ending kind of changes everything because like I guess we should say spoilers.
Yeah, we can. I would kind of like people to watch if they're gonna watch it.
Then
like,
we'll
go in
we'll
blind because I think the ending is, like, it's definitely something that you want to experience.
The ending changes the context in such a way, and I'm not entirely sure what he's going for with it. It is a shock. Like, I mean, like when you don't think that they could have. Being that the main character is somewhat based on Dario Argento himself, it is like an interesting way that he takes that character, and you're just sort of like, huh, okay, like it muddies the waters of the one-to-one with Argento enough where what's his name? Peter O'Neill or something?
Yeah, Peter Neal.
He becomes his own like character. He's very distinct from Argento, but for the majority of the movie, you think he's kind of like an Argento avatar, and very similar to like Argento's other protagonists. I think you should see Deep Red because like Tenebrae is in some ways also a response to Deep Red. I was reading in the article too, in the essays too, where they were talking about it. They were like, Deep Red was in some ways so good that people had kind of stopped approaching the giallo, or like they had like gone in different directions with it. They weren't doing the traditional giallo anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like the final word in giallo.
Wow.
At least as it existed at that point. And so when he returned with Tenebrae, it was kind of he just like did a complete new reinvention. But like Deep Red is like very it's like almost an archetype giallo. It's sort of a quasi remake of his first film, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. There's a guy, he's in Rome, he witnesses a murder through a window, manages to be the first on the scene when the body is discovered, and sees a clue to the murderer's identity that he doesn't remember until the end of the film. Obviously, there's more to both films, but that's the setup of both of the films. The main character is kind of your like typical stoic leading man sort of role, where like he doesn't really have a ton of personality. He's just kind of here to solve the mystery. And then meanwhile, people are getting brutally murdered along the way. Even the very the Crystal Plumage and Deep Red even have the same fake out and then plot twist reveal ending. So it's really interesting. I got to see those back to back, and I was like, "This is the same freaking movie!" Like, they just remade it.
You saw them back to back.
Yeah, Edgar Wright was actually in attendance. We went and got hot dogs in the intermission between the two movies, and then just had like hot dog crap on our faces, and then like Edgar Wright walks by, and I'm just like, oh damn.
That's so cool. That's so
cool.
Yeah,
so he didn't stay for the bird with the crystal plumage, but he came for Deep Red.
That's awesome. The camera work in here really is what the style is really what gets me going about this film. It's not necessarily the mystery's there, and then there's a nice twist at the end and all that, but it's the way that it's like it's set up and the execution of the scenes. Like there's this one scene where the music, the main theme really hits, and it's being played in the house, and then the camera creeps up the house. This is like my favorite sequence of the film. It's like the camera creeps up, and then you see this Italian woman, and she's playing a record, and then we follow around, and I'm not sure exactly what happens, but it's like there's some sort of you're focusing on something outside the glass, and then a hand comes in and grabs the woman, and then the music really kicks in there too. It's like or something like that. I don't know. It goes crazy, and it's like there's another like the murderer kills these two women in the house, and it's such like a shocking but really like exciting, creative way that it's filmed. And the music really adds to the scene. I don't know. It's just a really. I was like, man, this is really epic.
I love that scene too, because like it turns out that the goblin score that is playing is what she's playing on the record.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I love that bit where it's like, because you think it's just because like they blast music when there's going to be a murder scene, and then it's like it's diegetic sound. Yeah, it's not non-diegetic. Like the characters are listening to it. In fact, her friend are they lovers? I think they might be lovers. She's like yelling at her. Yeah, she's like yelling to her from the other room, like turn down the music. Mm-hmm. Turn down the music. It's too loud.
Because it is loud. It hits you really hard with the audio. Especially on this new restoration. It's just like beautiful picture, beautiful sound, and it's I don't know. It's just really cinematic, man. I was just like, man, this is so cool.
Yeah, we were watching it the other day, and Vinny was like, I know it's like brutal, like these violent things that are happening, but there's like an artistry to it. Like it's so beautiful to watch. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's true. Like the murders are really beautiful in a weird way. And like all the walls are like white for the most part. And so like then like the blood just sprays all over it. It's really great. Like
then you get the color of the giallo, the whole stylized.
Yeah, exactly. And giallo done in red, red and white only.
Yeah. And and I don't know if Wes Craven, took from this for Scream at all, but I couldn't help but think about Scream with the straight edge razor with close up with that, at times with like the knife and Scream.
Yeah,
the angle of just like the one shot of the hand and the knife going in the air type thing.
There was a lot of back and forth, so I could definitely see that. For example, like what is usually considered the first major slasher movie in the U.S. Because like Psycho and Peeping Tom came before, but they didn't spawn a bunch of movies. So like Black Christmas though did. Like Halloween is considered a direct descendant of Black Christmas. you watch Black Christmas, a lot of that looks like giallo murders. Like with some of the objects they use and how they shoot it, it looks a lot like giallo. So like they were definitely influenced by that. Bay of Blood by Mario Bava clearly inspired Friday the 13th. I mean, like they don't have a Jason character, but neither did the first Friday the 13th movie. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, like I guess Jason was in it, but not in the form that we know him.
And, you know, and by the way, Scream was the first movie that really connected with me as a horror film,
Mhm.
and I had to thank you for that
I love Scream.
because I know you tried with other movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Trick or Treat got me too. I mean, I enjoyed that one, but I don't know. I can't remember which one came first, but I know Scream had like this huge impact on me. I think we watched like all four in one weekend,
Yeah,
and you know, I wrote this like stupid slasher because of it too, and had like these dream casts and all that. So it kind of just
that was so
turned me
fun.
on the horror, and then ever since then I've gotten deeper in the horror, and then just it's become now I'm just like you know, a crazy person.
Yeah, I mean, Scream's a good intro to the genre. I feel like I actually have a whole essay on Scream, so
Wow,
maybe we should do that next. I wrote it before you were doing this. Like, I just decided to write
that's
it.
awesome. Yeah. This is a restoration from the original camera negative, so it's going to be the best of the best. I mean, again, it looks like we're watching a film print.
The essays are really interesting for the dissection of
Okay. I need to check
the
those out.
yeah, like especially the dissection of like uh, Dario Argento's like being accused of sexism and then like his response to it within the movie. That's kind of what they focus on, I think, and they don't have any definitive answers. Like, because like I don't know that there's
Right.
really a definitive answer to be had, but it's really interesting. It's a really interesting read. I'm glad you have the essays. I didn't think they came with the Synapse one. Um, but I do love that it's like this is basically the same collection except for the Blu-ray is Region B on this one.
All right, so let's get into some Kino.
Okay, actually, I brought in my Kino, and then I brought another movie that I got the that I got a 4K for. It's not Kino, but it came. So I've never seen this film, but I've been slowly going through Ken Russell's movies. So this is a
Cool.
biopic of silent film star Valentino, who was a notorious womanizer. We'll see. I'm like excited for this movie. It's
What year
1977.
was that? Okay, 77.
Yeah, I love Ken Russell. I just recently kind of discovered him. He's probably most famous for the movie Altered States, which I haven't seen, but I discovered The Devils and then Gothic by him, and I was like, I love these. Gothic has like some really bad reviews, so it's not for everyone.
It's
And then
part of the Vestron
it
series.
is, and then Devils got banned like for like everywhere for a while. And most of the prints actually don't have the orgy scene or the masturbation scene with a bone. Um, these scenes make sense in context. Um, but yeah, so I'm excited about this
I've
one.
never heard of it. That's awesome.
Yeah, my my former boss, who's a big movie fan, said that he thought I would like it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. So this is my fourth Ken Russell movie. I also did The Lair of the White Worm, which is now streaming on Criterion's channel. I blind bought it. I would say you should watch it before you buy it because that one is it's a little weird.
Well, I already bought it.
You should
I already
watch it.
have it.
It's a little weird.
It's in the Vestron line again.
I don't know. I don't know if you'll like it, but you know. Okay.
I may do
So
it next
then,
week. May do it.
hell yeah. So then this one went down to $20, so I finally got it. This is a silent serial from the 1920s. It's French, based on a series of crime novels around the character of gentleman thief and murderer Fantomas. I watched the first episode through it was like it was on Amazon Prime, and then like It was through one of like you had to get a subscription to something through Amazon Prime, and so I watched the first episode, immediately canceled the subscription, but I couldn't find the other 5, so I've only watched the first of them. But I was like, I really want to see the other ones, so I'm excited about this one.
That's what I love about Kino Lorber. They have a variety of titles and genres and all decades, and it's just it's so cool.
Oh yeah. I describe Kino Lorber to people who don't know about them as mostly Turner Classic Movies you've never heard of. But then there's like somewhere like they are pretty famous, like this next one. So I got the 4K for Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It did go down to $13 at one point, and I thought that was just the normal price it was. So like I slept on that one. I wish I'd gotten it then. But I got it for $23, which isn't terrible. And I only have this movie on DVD before, so like I'm happy to upgrade.
Oh, that one is a fantastic transfer.
Yeah. And
that's one that I recently discovered too.
Well, almost done.
No, you're good.
And that's one I recently discovered too.
Hell yeah!
I had that on the list. It's one of those on the list. I had type things, and great ending.
Yeah, it is. I do love the ending. So then this last one was not Kino, but I when I saw that they were putting it out, I really wanted it because I really wanted the Steelbook. So it's Fright Night. Yeah, I love this movie. It's very campy. It's like 80s cheese, but I love the hell out of it. Like a vampire moves in next door to a teenager, and he knows it's a vampire, but nobody else will believe him. It's pretty great.
Nice. I gotta check it out. I haven't seen it.
It's fun. It's ridiculous. I was gonna say it's very similar to the plot of Alvin and the Chipmunk Meet the Wolfman. It actually is. Like, I think that movie like definitely was inspired by Fright Night. But you probably didn't grow up with that one, so
no, I didn't.
I loved like Alvin and the Chipmunks had Meet the Wolfman and Meet Frankenstein. And I loved those two. I was disappointed they never did a Dracula one, but I was glad they did those two.
I think horror-wise, I was really shown Alien and Aliens. Fairly young, surprisingly. I think my dad just thought they were cool movies, and I considered it sci-fi. I didn't really consider it horror, but it really is horrific.
I mean, the first one I would definitely say is a horror movie. The second one's more of an action movie.
Yeah, this has been great, and I really appreciate you coming on and doing the articles, and we'll do it again, hopefully.
Yeah.
For more Return of the Disc, visit returnofthedisc.com. Check out the audio version of today's show, available on all major podcast platforms. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel.